How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today I'm taking a look at a RPG strategy game called Blood of November. Now, this game is sort of like a standalone expansion to the former game called Eisenwald, or something that Legends of Eisenwald, it looks like, or Eisenwald. Anyway, this game is sort of trying to brand itself as something a bit different. As you'll see, the Eisenwald title is nowhere to be seen in the main menu. It just says Blood of November. And if you're wondering what this game is about, it's sort of a commentary on the political race in the United States during the 2016 election cycle. Now, the game primarily builds, well, I should say it borrows heavily from the former game. There are not many differences between the two of them, as far as I'm aware. Since I have not played the original, I'm not going to be comparing it too much to that game. I'm just going to be talking about Blood of November on its own and sort of giving you what my thoughts are so far. I've been playing about 4 hours of it, and then probably about an hour and a half of research on the forums for it as well. So what I'm going to do here is load a game. As you can see, the game does autosave, thankfully, but you can also load. So let's get started. All right, so here we are on the map. As you can see, the sun is starting to come up. I'm going to slow the game speed down a bit. Now, there are a couple of different ways you can play this. You can either play it where the day only progresses if you're moving your character around, or you can have it where the day progresses regardless of what you're doing. And as you can see in the bottom or the lower left corner is the current day cycle right there. I'm going to pause it again, and you'll see units stop moving. So in a way, this is where the hybrid between it being a real-time strategy game versus a turn-based game come into play. Now, I think in most cases, people are just going to keep it paused, so that way the game only runs when they're actually moving their character about the screen. Speaking of characters, where is mine? Right there he is. You can zoom in a little bit more. You can see him walking along. Now, there isn't a whole lot to do, to be honest. That's one thing I found out pretty early. The game has a lot of complexity to it, but the meta objectives are pretty simple. So here we have a map. What do we have on the map? Well, we have castles. You can see right there is a castle. The green ones are mine. The blue ones are my allies. The red one over here is an enemy castle. You might be wondering, well, how did I manage to get so many castles in such a short amount of time? Well, it's mostly because I used console commands to level up my entire army. This guy currently on the map you see right here represents my entire army. If I go into my inventory here, you can currently see the units in my regiment. And as you can see, all of them have a little upgrade arrow. They're ready to be upgraded more, but they are currently at their max level because I just gave them a ton of experience for nothing. And I'm going to explain why I decided to go down this route. So I probably spent about I'd say 1.5 hours playing through the tutorial of the game. And it introduces you to pretty much everything you need to know to play it, except for the fact that the actual game is ridiculously harder, even on the easiest difficulty level. So the game probably comes with about 6 different difficulty levels, but even on the easiest one, I found that pretty much every encounter I got engaged in with the base troops that you are given, I lost, and by a significant margin. You know, I was just getting, they were wiping the floor with me essentially. So, you know, I'm not going to invest a bunch of time in trying to level up the army. I don't know what exactly you're expected to do, but I guess it has to do with real RPG-like elements where you're absolutely micromanaging everything about your army. For example, my hero here, he doesn't have any of these things on. What are they called? The items, I guess. I can give him a helmet. I guess I can't give him a helmet. Why can't I give him a helmet? Can I not give him anything? This place is not suited for equipping this object, so apparently I can't equip anything while I'm in that building. It's odd. Didn't know that. Can I do it now? No. This is interesting. It's something I haven't encountered before. As far as I'm aware, I should be allowed to do this stuff. Okay, I gave him all his upgrades. Can I give him a knight sword? Yeah, I can give him a different sword. Can I give him a shield? I can give him a shield, but it doesn't stay in there. I wonder if something bugged out here, because I was doing this before, and I was able to give him shields, and it was showing up where they should be. I was also giving him hats. The hats were showing up. Now they're not showing up. That might be a bug. Overall, I hadn't run into any bugs really, but then again, I had not been doing any of that complex stuff. So I don't know why I can't equip my units. That's really dumb. This place is not suited to equipping the object. Where do I have to go to equip stuff? I really don't know. That does not reflect well on my time spent playing this game, honestly, that I still have not learned this. So there are a whole bunch of enemies running around. They're capturing my stuff because I own a ton of stuff. So you capture stuff simply by walking into it. For example, this building. And I'm going to point out the fact that it's probably not a good idea to have the camera pan in every time. I'm not sure if you can disable it. I haven't figured out a way to disable it. If we go into the options menu right here, the game, it says floating HP. Nope. There's no option to actually disable that zooming. So every time you come across a new building, it's, you know, let's say I enter this tent right here. It's going to zoom in. See? That wastes about at least 1 second right there. Okay, now my character is showing all the stuff that's equipped on him. That's good. So apparently I just couldn't equip him in the other location, which, like I said, is odd, but I really hadn't been paying much attention to what they were wearing anyway, which might be one of the reasons I lost. You know, I am more of a big picture strategy player. So, you know, while games like Heroes of Might and Magic interest me, I think this game goes a little bit further in the direction of RPG versus turn-based strategy. And, you know, the game was sort of going for a hybrid, I think, between turn-based strategy and real-time strategy. Like, if you look at the map itself, there are no turns. You do not have a set number of movement points. It's just the game advances as you move across the map. So it's trying to be a hybrid of sorts, and I'm not sure how well it goes about doing that. But from what I have seen so far, it focuses much more on very hardcore sort of role-playing, or what, like RPG, more than the strategy does, especially versus Heroes of Might and Magic. So, you know, I wasn't big on the idea of having to zoom in to every building that I walk into, especially since there are a good deal of buildings around the map that actually don't have anything of note. So, for example, I should be able to find some building around here. There are buildings that just serve no purpose on the map. They don't do anything. There is nothing you can do when you enter them. Let's just check this building here. So now you can actually hire a healer here. Now that's rare. You very rarely get an opportunity to hire healers, so I might as well use this opportunity to demonstrate how one would go about doing this. I'm going to dismiss one of my peasants right here, and then I'm going to move this, what is he, a pikeman, from the healer slot, and now I'm going to hire a healer, just like that. The healers are quite rare, and I suppose that's to make it difficult for you to actually win anything. Once again, the game does not favor the unfamiliar, I guess you could say. Okay, we can collect some tribute there. I don't know exactly how the entire tribute system works, but apparently the more buildings you own, the more tribute you get. But I would think you could just get the tribute for every day without actually having, I mean, because right here you can see everything that I'm paying for. It's a ton of stuff. I have a bunch of buildings apparently, and in a lot of cases it looks like I'm making a good deal of gold. I don't know how to get it. Do I have to go to the castle that rules that realm? Do I have to go into each individual building to collect like 15 gold? It's hardly worth the effort. And the game does this a lot. It has a lot of this whole micromanage aspect to it. If you want to be successful, you're going to have to micromanage your army, you're going to have to micromanage your economy. And I think one thing about Heroes of Might and Magic is the economy felt varied. It's like there were different areas you could take over, and they mattered because it depended upon what kind of troops you wanted. If you wanted to hire a certain kind of troops, they would require certain resources. In this game, you just have gold. That's the only real resource there is, and you get gold from holding different buildings across the map. Like here you can see on the map there was a watchtower, there's an estate, there is a castle, there is this farmstead right there. And there really is no big difference between them. You know, you can hire units in your little villages And it seems random. It's like, oh, well, we might have some units you're interested in this village. There's no knowing for sure what you're going to get. So it makes it hard to be strategic. I guess that is my gripe with it, because as somebody who is looking for strategy in these types of RPGs, I mean, that's sort of the idea behind a turn-based strategy RPG, is that it's probably a little bit more strategic. You have a bit of a bigger picture than your average first-person or third-person RPG. But I just can't strategize, I guess, if that's the word, because everything is so randomly generated. Like, I can't go to the map and say, well, I can only heal at parishes, so I'll make sure that in my attempt to conquer the castle up here, I will make sure that when passing through this area, I first visit the abbey and have all my troops heal. No, I think all abbeys heal, but I can't be sure about that. And there are also other buildings that heal. Sometimes my castle will heal. Is this my castle? Can I heal here? I can't heal here, but I can collect income from all my fiefdoms. So you just don't know what to expect, really. It's hard to plan unless you know the map inside out, and even then, it seems like the game randomizes it every time you start a new game. Like, you don't know what you can get, so it's difficult to ever have a plan of action. That was what I found, and it doesn't help it that the game will not hold your hand at all. You're going to have to learn everything yourself, and the game is not going to cut you any slack, which is why I guess console commands exist, and it's a good thing they do. And I should speak a little bit about the console commands, because it was rather interesting. You can open up the console commands by pressing the tilde, and I wasn't sure about some of the commands, so I asked in the forum, and the developer responded within a few hours. So there is a good deal of communication between the developer and the players in regards to the game. They seem more than willing to answer questions that you might have about it. So it's not that the game isn't supported, it's just I really don't enjoy personally the direction the game took, especially for a game that sort of claims it's wanting to be lumped in the same category of Heroes of Might and Magic, which of course is going to be a game that's very difficult to surpass, like the third Heroes of Might and Magic. The publisher, like Ubisoft, behind that game itself has had a hard time coming up with a better sequel to it. It's like one of the premier turn-based strategy RPG games that's ever really graced the computer since games of that nature have started coming out. And this game, it goes for a similar theme, but at the same time, it's deviating a bit from it, and I think it deviates too much towards just random stuff, RNG, and away too much from the strategy. There are no special resources in the game, really. There is, as I pointed out, if you look at the inventory, my army here, there are special unit classes. There is the melee unit class, the ranged unit class, and then the cleric and healer unit class. And the battle systems are something that is a little bit different, so I think we're going to take a look at those if I can find a battle to get into. Obviously, okay, right here is an enemy. You can see there's a knight helmet. He's red, he's walking around. Let's see if I can catch up. And for those wondering why the map is as it is, you can't... the dude just went into a watchtower. For those wondering why the map is the way it is, it's because it's tied to your character. You can't detach it and zoom over the map, which once again makes it feel less like a turn-based strategy game and more like an RPG. Here is a good example of a building that is ultimately pointless to zoom into. That zooming effect right there, it's not needed. Here's the knight that I'm after, and I'm going to see if we can finally catch up to him. I'm just going to set my army on a course towards him. And we'll see if he can follow. Oh, here we go. Preparing for battle. Okay, here we are in the battle screen, which is something that you will probably get bored of relatively quickly because of a couple things. Number one, there is no ability to do fast moves. So every time your units are due to move, you're going to have to watch them act out every single animation in full. or you're going to have to go ahead and click fast battle, in which case the AI just automatically decides everything for you, thereby mitigating or negating, I should say, any potential advantage that might come from you playing the game out yourself. So either you're sort of stuck with long turn times, or else you just have to throw caution to the wind and give the reins to the AI. Now, in all fairness, the AI seems to be fairly competent because they have been, you know, kicking my ass on a regular basis. But it's the thing about it is you expect these turn-based strategy games, you know, the battle, the combat is going to be one of the areas that you hopefully can outdo the AI in, and therefore it sort of makes up for the fact that the AI is just spawning troops down all over the map all the time, while you only have one army and you're expected to capture 3/4 of the map. So what do we have here? We have an archer. Archers are ranged units, they can fire. Let's just shoot at that dude right there. I don't think this army is very strong, so it shouldn't be difficult to win. I mean, even if this was not a fully upgraded army, these units here are not very strong. They look like just regular bandits, and that's actually something that even from the beginning of the game, you probably have a decent chance against. Now, one of the more unique aspects of this game is how it handles logistics. You're not going to be moving around the map. You can't flank units or anything. There are no movement points. You just get one action point per turn. For example, I have to attack one of these guys because I have to attack the nearest unit to my troop here. So he's going to go there. And now you can see this guy, apparently all three of these units are equal distance from this unit. So, you know, you're not limited by number of movement points, and therefore I can attack any of them. But I can't attack this guy that's a little bit more to the right, the lower right, because he is an additional space away, apparently. I'm really not exactly sure how the AI is calculated or how this movement is calculated, but that is what I read, and it appears the game appears to bear that out. Every time you win a battle, you're going to get some gold. You're probably going to sustain some injuries, and you're also going to get some garbage, like the trophies showed here: tans, skins, and trophies. Obviously, the more or the stronger the enemy that you defeat, the better the loot and the gold is going to be. Apparently there are multiple troops here. So in this case, what I'm going to do is just going to show you how to do fast battle. And we won again. It's as simple as that. And that takes care of those guys who are running on the map, terrorizing the place. So you're probably wondering, you know, what else does the game have to offer? Why Blood November over the original Legends of Eisenwald, or whatever it's called? Well, the real thing, like I pointed out in the beginning, is it's sort of a humorous look at the US, or the politics in the United States regarding the most recent presidential election. I'm just going to heal all my units right here in this chapel. One thing you can't count on, chapels, I have never seen one that you couldn't heal your units in. The rest of it can be a bit of a potluck thing, though. So my current mission, just continue here. My current mission, I am currently at war on the Horn side. He represents the Republican Party in the United States election. Now, I've tried both sides, and if I tried the Democratic side, I seem to get creamed even faster than if I was on the Horn side. I forget what his opponent is called. She's like the Ice Witch or something like that. And it's the game... I mean, if you look at it right now, the frame rate's just terrible. I've set it on the lowest possible settings and getting about 23 frames a second. It's like the game is not very well optimized in that regard. It looks nice, though. I'll give them that. It's a nice looking game. But what I was saying was this sort of commentary is mostly just based on the more outrageous, outlandish happenings during that election. Like if you go to a pub, here's a pub, we should be able to talk to somebody about it, and they'll probably have something to say. Yeah, for example, should we fight the Moscow Tsardom? Stolen letters. Want to guess what that is? The magic dog. Here we go. Let's talk about the magic dog. Did you know that... I missed her name again. She's a real witch? Yeah. She can understand the language of animals and can speak with dogs. Once she was talking in the magistrate, and she got so carried away she didn't notice that she had switched to the canine tongue. Everybody was talking about it afterwards, that Hannah had been barking like a dog. So you're not going to learn anything. It's not educational. It's just LOL. The the presidential race in the United States sucked, and that's pretty much the only thing you're going to get out of it, which I think is a missed opportunity, because I think this was the perfect medium to sort of break down like preconceived biases and allow players to perhaps explore the alternative sides to a lot of politics without feeling confronted, because it's set in a medieval world. It's a far cry from the contemporary landscape of politics, and I think there was a lot of potential here to allow players to do that, to think about different ideas and consider, well, what if I wasn't on the path that I am on, essentially. But the game really doesn't go for that. The theming is quite light, and it basically is just an excuse to rehash what Legends of Eisenwald was. It incorporates a lot of the same stuff, and the changes are minimal. And then you have this light theming, I guess you could call it. Some players have complained that apparently it was too biased towards one candidate or another. In my opinion, I don't think it's biased towards either, really. The stories that are recounted are both on the outrageous side, for both sides of this war. And we are fighting for the ultimate, who gets to be the Duke of these lands, the Dukey of whatever this place is called. And, you don't have to choose either side, as a matter of fact. You can go on your own, but then you're most likely going to have to fight both sides. I'm not too sure about that. I have not ever actually tried not siding with either of them, but apparently that's supposed to be an option. The developer, as far as I'm aware, is Russian, but they have done a good job of localizing the entire game. Not very often have I actually read a sentence that I noticed was poorly phrased, and it's always nice when the developers who do not natively speak perhaps the language go ahead and hire somebody who does, who can translate it quite well. There have been a couple of cases where question marks were in places that they really shouldn't have been, but I think this had more to do with the fact that maybe my computer just didn't support that character. Like if there was some Cyrillic character trying to be displayed in the game, and my computer did not support it, perhaps, but it's a very minor thing, but interesting at the same time. So I think I've pretty much covered everything. This has gone on for a bit already. What would I just say is the final word on it? You're probably better off just buying the original Legends of Eisenwald. It's a bit more expensive, but as far as I'm aware, this story is considerably more fleshed out. Like this one's a little bit bare bones. I don't think there's anything more to it than simply completing these quests here, and I have tried it and I couldn't. So I'm not sure exactly what else I was supposed to be capturing that I didn't, but apparently I didn't. The game is not going to hold your hand in any way. The quests are not sort of go from point A to point B, kill X, come back, anything like that. It's not the point and fetch quests or whatever you want to call them. They're old school quests, I guess you could say. So if a game that is harder sort of interests you, the Legend of Eisenwald or Blood of November, both of them are good games for that. But I still think that Blood of November sort of fails to live up to the quality of Legend of Eisenwald, even as a standalone expansion, and I would still recommend the original game over it. But if you're interested in a little bit, if you're having a little bit of fun based off of the US election perhaps, and the politics that are associated with it, the rhetoric that was associated with it, this game might entertain you for several hours, as a matter of fact, because if you're completely new to the sort of the franchise, it's not really much of a franchise yet, but if you're new to the series, there is a lot to learn here, and it's going to take you a while to actually get through everything. There could be a lot that I think, or there's a lot I think that could be optimized, like when I'm moving the camera around here. shouldn't be bringing up the building overviews like that. That's a bit annoying. Like, you know, okay, I'm moving. Oops, keep bringing up those dialogues. Look at that. But overall, it's a solid game for the price. Let's just be honest about it. If I look at the price right now, it's what? Well, I think it's on sale. It's about $10. You know, it's a good game for $10. You're getting your money's worth, I think, here. Especially if you haven't played the original yet. If you have played the original, you're probably just better off sticking to the original. I don't know that much about the original. I'm just going to put that as a disclaimer. I haven't played it, but I've read about it. You know, I've been reading up on these games like I usually do in the forums, and from what I've read, the original game had a much longer, more engrossing narrative behind it than this one currently does. Well, how about that? That is Eisenwald. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Blood of November. An overview after me playing it for about 3.5 to 4 hours and learning as much as I could about it. So I hope you found that somewhat educational. Thank you very much for watching as always, and hope to see you next time.